I'm Ed Gordon. I'm your moderator today. I appreciate that you all are here. I was stuck, supposed to be here this morning, but such is life. But I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so happy to see this picture. I've been in the news business for longer than you guys have been alive, literally. And what is great to see is a picture like this of minority men and women in fields that oftentimes people don't think we're in. They take us for granted. They assume that we aren't bright enough. The assumption is that we don't exist. And you all need to start making noise and letting the world know you exist. So please give yourselves a round of applause. That being said, guys, here's what I understand. I have a daughter who is 25, and she is out in the world now. And one of the things that we talk about is the idea that it's not just being smart that gets you through life. It's not just being intelligent that gets you to ascend in a corporation or within your career. It's about knowing how to navigate the waters of what I call real life. And so what we've done is brought 4 people together who are here at Dell who make a difference. I'm going to have them introduce themselves. They're going to tell you a little bit about what they do. And they're going to tell you a little bit about what it's like to be an executive at a corporation, some of the things that you come up against, some of the things that you face, to get you in the mindset of knowing that it's not just what you're going to create and pull off of these computers that will make you successful. There's a whole lot of what goes into that, and we want you to learn a little bit about that today, and I would encourage you to ask questions. So if there's some questions that you have, we'll get to you sooner than later, and I will also tell you here again is one of those things. There's an old saying, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and so the idea that when you have opportunity to ask questions, I encourage all minority young people to do this because often you will be in an environment that you will be what old folk used to call the raisin in the rice, all right? You will be the only person of color in that room, and sometimes you shy away and you shrink a little bit, and there's nothing wrong with shining, and that's what we want you to be able to do, and that's part of what Black Enterprise is doing throughout the process of this. So let them introduce themselves to you. They're going to tell you a little bit about what they do. We're going to get into a conversation, and then we will soon be coming to you if you have any questions or comments. So I turn it over.
All right. Well, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Marieli Francetti. My background is 100% Puerto Rican, born and raised in Caribbean. Yeah, Boricua. So my background is engineering. So I came to the U.S. after I did my bachelor in industrial engineering, and it's been 22 years at Dell. How time goes by. I have also my master's degree in engineering that Dell, by the way, paid for it from Georgia Tech. So it was a great benefit, and happy to share that journey. And right now, I support an organization of 1,500 professionals in development. And we support the services organization at Dell that is a $16 billion organization. So just a little bit of a pressure on making sure that we keep our customer experience the best and support our customer base. So thank you.
So my name is Ana Villegas. I am originally from Peru, and my background is also an engineer, like Marieli. And I came to this country 18 years ago to do a master. And I started working at Dell 16 years, and I've been here since then. All my roles have been in marketing. I've done operations, I've done more demand generation, brand, every piece you can see. I think I've worked with IT at some point as well, but always in marketing. And currently, I am leading our effort in North America for all our advertising that we do for our customers in the business area, and also all the information, data, and operations to make the marketing effort work.
Awesome. So first of all, welcome everyone. My name is Jim Gantier, and I have the distinct pleasure of leading our customer solution strategy and advocacy businesses here at Dell. Similar to the ladies, I guess we got a Caribbean and South American thing going. I was actually
Good flavor.
I was actually born in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. My family had to leave under, we'll call it, duress circumstances when I was a child. We got to the United States, and from there, like most immigrant stories, they figured out how to make it work. So what do I do here? If you think about Dell as a $92, $93 billion company with 7 strategically aligned businesses, that's the good news. The bad news is if you're not careful with that larger portfolio and also with that amount of capability, you sometimes look a little bit fractured. So what our team does is we work across the company to ensure that we're reducing friction, we're making it easier for our customers to do business, and as you heard the ladies talk about, actually give them the best possible CX. Similar background, I also am an industrial engineer, although I was schizophrenic and decided I wanted to also learn about business. So I went back and got my MBA at FIU and taken a lot of executive leadership classes at Harvard.
Wow. It's going to be a little bit hard to follow.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
You're tremendous in your own right.
Thank you, Jim. How is everybody doing? Excellent. Stomach's full. You feeling good? Kind of, sort of? All right. Patrick Felder, Vice President of Human Resources. I have been at Dell for almost 20 years. My background is I started off in talent acquisition at a smaller company and have been in the talent and people business consistently throughout my career. The joys of my job is I get to work with folks here at the table, and I get to work with all of you talking about the Dell story and also watching careers grow. And that's kind of why I do what I do, and I get my juice from that. Currently, I am the HR leader for our commercial sales business, which is about a $22 billion business. And I also support our global channel business, which is about a $43 billion business. And so I spend time with the presidents of those organizations. I work with their executive leadership teams, help them build talent management strategies, and continue to kind of bring in the best and brightest talent into Dell. I am a native Texan. I hail from a very small town called Brenham. If you like Bluebell ice cream, you know what I'm talking about.
Nope.
Yep. And I have got a bachelor's degree from Texas State down the road and a master's degree from St. Edward's University here in Austin. So.
And
I
he
thought you were
always
going
has
to
the
have
best
an
shoes too.
immigrant story as well.
He did. He migrated from
I was
Brenham.
going to say.
Yeah, I migrated. From Brenham. Yeah.
So look, guys, what I want you to think about, particularly those of you who are really looking at entering corporate America as well, is I want you to think about what you have in front of you. You have people who've already traveled that road and who are going to be able to share with you some of the ups and downs that you will ultimately face. Hopefully you won't face some of the rocky road that many of these trailblazers had to face. There's always the hope that the generation before you will make your ride a little smoother. And to that point, I'd like to get into that in terms of what you guys faced that was perhaps the biggest hurdle for you to get over, because we have a race hurdle, we have a cultural hurdle, we have a gender hurdle for 2 of you. So give me a sense, if you all don't mind, of what was the biggest hindrance that you saw when you first came.
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to add one more, maybe Anna too. Well, I actually have a language challenge because English being my second language. I would say that probably was one of the areas that, it was uncomfortable at the beginning. But, when you work in global companies, you just realize that you work with people that speak a lot of different languages. But I would say that was an area for me at the beginning of my career. And of course, we will see in technology, women and race is an area that we need to continue working on. And I love the challenge and the champion, and we need to help each other through that.
And I'll say for me, if I have to think back on growing up, right, and getting to where I am and getting to the US, one of my biggest hurdles was really even to believe in myself, because the culture and the way I was raised, I was supposed to stay at home and be a mom and don't work, right? That was supposed to be my career.
We're glad you didn't.
And yeah, so I had to first, get to a point where I say, this is not what I want to do. I also want to have a career. I also want to sit in that table. And it was not easy, right? I remember even boyfriends who will not, who split with me because they say, you want to talk more than I want. You are taking too much of the attention in a dinner, and I'm the one who is supposed to be the one who knows. So I think that you, regardless where you are, you have to start by believing on yourself and believing that you can be more. You can become what you really want to be. It doesn't matter what the people around you are telling you.
So pretty similar. I mean, if you think about, we'll call it 25-ish years ago, it was a little bit of a different environment. And when I say it was a little bit of a different environment, the raisin and the rice, even to this day, sometimes still applies. Talking about a real-world example, I've had it happen to me where I was like in Asia, and with a last name like mine, people sometimes have an unconscious bias. And frankly, when we walked in the room, I had members of my staff, and they went to the one who looked like the European and said, "Hi, Mr. Gantier, welcome to China." So the bottom line is that, and so fast forward to that story. Once they found out that, no, I was the really senior person in the room, they spent the entire 2 days apologizing, and we got one hell of a contract as a result of it. So, hey, you got to use what you get thrown. But kidding aside, basically, don't let other people define you. We joked about migrating from Brenham. You know how you tell who the pioneers are? They're the ones who have the arrows in their back. So think of it as, hey, there's a lot of us that have gone through and had these conversations, been down the road, just so many of you can have a faster, preferably a little bit easier, and frankly, higher level of success than any of us have had.
I think for me, it's been an interesting journey because coming from a small company, the first couple of things I always thought about and I always feel when I walked into the room at Dell, I went through about 6 interviews with 6 or 7 people each, got turned down 3 times, and finally when they called me back and they said, everybody kind of liked you. You may be okay here, but we're still worried a little bit about you. And I use that as motivation because, you work with a lot of smart people, and you think because people come from tier 1 schools or whatever that you can't be. I can tell you that you can be, and you just have to decide. And one quick story, we went through the dot-com bust. You guys probably have read about that in school. And my HR team went from 15 people to 3 in one day. I was the last guy in, last guy hired, so I'm assuming I'm about to be out the door, right? But asking for projects, persevering, and pushing boundaries is what I started doing. And so you absolutely can be and work your way through. And so to what everyone else has said, believe in yourself and do not stop. Do not stop.
How do we make sure that we tell them about the fine balance of making sure that you know when to take the fight on? Because that is always one of those things that we all, and you don't have to be older, I know you get it in school sometimes, you have to wonder, well, did I get this grade, or am I treated this way because I'm Hispanic or African American or a female, or is it just the way they're treating me? Is it deserved, or is it their issue, which I can do very little about? How do we find that balance? How do we teach them to find that balance?
If you don't mind, I'll start. So first of all, it's not one of those universal things. It actually is by person. I can tell you, in multiple meetings, multiple, different conversations, you may have a person who actually sees you, treats you, acts you, sometimes supports you for who you are, and then you're going to have the knuckleheads. So back to, Patrick's point, look, if you believe in yourself, if you're willing to take the risk, if you, and this is something that, not everybody will say, have a group of supporters. I've had it happen where we've made a call, we've made a decision, and then you get the whisper campaign, where people are like, well, I don't know. If you're doing the right thing, if you've got the right priorities, if you're doing it for things that will actually help the corporation, and if fundamentally you've got the right numbers, you got the right math, even if you're not in the room, you'll get that level of support. So I would say it literally is not a universal item. It's a person by person, but some of the generic truths hold true across the board.
And I will say that also as you go into, through this process, always remember, bring your A game, right? You have to be overperforming. You have to make sure you are studying, you're learning, you're the best in that room. And doing your homework of making sure people are aware of what the work you are doing. So when all these things happen and people are starting giving feedback on career or situations, etc., you already have planted the seed. You are good. People know about you. People know what you are doing. I think that's the homework that we have to do. And sometimes we forget because we are busy with our day-to-day work. But that's part of what we need to be doing when we invest in our career.
Yeah. This is where you think about, your legacy. What is the legacy that you want to leave? What is the brand that you're going to build in your career? Everything is based by you driving results. You have to be, driven. You have to bring your A game, like Anna said. But it is a result-driven that you get you going. That's how you get your mentors, how you get sponsorship, and it's core. And then, when you face challenging situations, facts are facts, and those are the things that you need to bring forward as you go through and navigate. When you have to convince people otherwise, or how you can leverage some of your partners that you build in time. But it's all based on driving results. That's how your brand starts.
And when you're ready to go and take the fight, right? When you're ready to kind of bring some things to the table, everything that the team here said is correct, because that begins to establish your credibility. It establishes that you're a person in the room who has done their homework, who brings their A game. And when you're about to kind of make that leap into the arena, if you will, everybody has already got those things about you. Yeah. And they've got that information, and so it makes it a little bit easier to put that stuff on the table and to talk about those difficult topics. And you do have to judge that point by point, because there's going to be some battles that aren't worth the fight. Mm-hmm. There's going to be other battles that you're going to have to step in the arena because it's the right thing to do. And so, but those other facts will help you do that.
You also want to make sure that you have proof and documentation.
Facts and data.
All right? It can't just be anecdotal. They don't like me 'cause ain't enough, right? We all have been there. I tell a story about a kid that I went to college with. We were the only two black people in the class. He came up to me midterm and asked me what the professor gave me. And he said, man, what'd he give you? Because, he don't like black people. I said, I got a B. What'd you get? Man, that dude gave me a D. He don't like black people. I said, what is your name, dude? You only came to class twice. I don't even know you. So you want your documentation to be right. You want to have an internal conversation before you bring it to the table to make sure that what you're about to assert is real, right? All right, I'm going to get you guys involved. I'm going to ask a couple of you to be brave enough to stand up. I'm going to ask you some questions. Let's see. Well, I'm right in front of you. You can determine who you want to do it. All right, stand up, my friend. What's your name? First of all, this is stereotypical. I'm going to ask, you play ball because you're tall?
No, sir. I play tennis.
You play tennis? All right. You any good? Now, here's a... I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding. I feel you. What do you want to do? What do you want your career to be?
So I'm going into the cybersecurity field, but I've been thinking lately about giving back to my high school because I feel like I wasn't really geared, productively in high school to be able to be successful, know what I want to do. So I want to be able to mentor, high school kids and be able to give them the products that I didn't have.
Let me ask you something you said there, and then I'm going to turn it to these folks to speak to it. You said, I didn't feel like necessarily I was geared to that in high school. What do you mean by that? Expound on that a little bit.
I mean, we had technology classes, but the technology classes we had in high school was just learning how to type.
Right.
That's it. That's literally the expanse of our college class, our technology classes. So being able to learn coding, learn data stuff like that would be very useful to high school kids, so they're prepared in college and not just because in college it's more of you're on your own,
Right.
Figure it out. In high school you can get like more of a collaboration. So being able to give back and help people grow would be a cool thing.
Great, thank you. Let's give him a round of applause.
When you started talking, a couple of things resonated with me because I can remember going to my high school guidance counselor during my senior year to kind of talk about options. And your guidance counselors are those people that are supposed to kind of help you think about going to college or going to, whatever you want to do next in life. And my guidance counselor, I remember this conversation to this day. She said, well, your grades aren't really that good, and a person like you, you might want to go into the military. You may want to consider that. And my grades were, not all A's, but B plus or so. And I sat there for a second, and at that moment I had to make a decision, because people are sometimes not going to steer you the right way because of who you are. Yep. You cannot let them do that. You have to have confidence in who you are and what you want to do. And part of what I love about what you're saying is kind of going back and helping steer folks and let them kind of create your own path is a beautiful thing. So thank you for even thinking about doing that and kind of at your age thinking about kind of going back and doing that. I think that's really, really cool.
I'd ask one of you to pick up on the idea of something else that he said. Oftentimes, unfortunately, America hasn't figured out our educational divide. And many minorities come behind the 8 ball, as they used to say, because we don't have the monies at our schools. We don't have the technology oftentimes. So you're always running to catch up. I'd like one of you, all of you, some of you, to talk a little bit about finding, and we touched on it, the idea of overcoming or closing that gap, and also finding the confidence within oneself to know that you do have it, you are smart enough in spite of the lack of opportunity or equipment or teachers who may feel like you can do it. How do we overcome that?
So one way to look at that, and I happen to have a lot of family members and have spent some time being an advisor to a few, there's a military phrase called overcome, adapt, and improvise. And, in essence, if you know this is what I need to go do, and it is fundamentally the right thing to go do, and again, applaud you for, already wanting to give back. Most of us didn't start doing that till we hit our 30s and 40s, so you should be complimented. But if you know that this is what you really want to go do, hey, there are some things that you can go do right now. Case in point, hey, when I needed to learn, and if you're going to be in technology, one thing you got to wrap your head around is you're going to be learning for the rest of your lives, and that's actually good. If you enjoy that kind of thing, hey, have at it. But when I started out, I had to go to the library. The great thing about what most of you can do right now, and I was just whispering to Patrick, whether it's the Kaplan Academy or anything else, a lot of the things that you can't get are online. So if you've got that knowledge, if you've got that passion, if it's something that you really, really want to pursue, there are ways to get over, above, through, or underneath, whatever it is, to not let that get in the way of your goal.
Yeah. I was going to say one thing that I love about Dell and my experience here is what we call our employee resources group, and the efforts that we do to tackle actually the problem that you said, how we bring technology earlier in the education. It's too late, as you say, when we bring in time of college. So Ana is actually one that it's extremely engaged in Latinitas, which it's an organization that we look at Hispanic, younger female at high school level. We partner with schools that are also more heavy Black and Hispanics, and it's very much one of our biggest priority, how we ensure that we leverage resources at Dell and help our community early on in tackling some of the STEM gaps that we're having. And we need to start very young. We need to start a lot younger. So that's one area that I love how our ERGs invest our team members to get involved.
And I will add that the other piece, back to what you were saying, right? Your counselor was telling you shouldn't be, applying to college, but that's where it's so important for everybody to find mentors, to find people that you admire that inspire you, because those are the people you want to talk to. Those are the people you want advice from. Not everybody sometimes will be telling you, you should be doing this, and that's where mentors, and it can be a teacher, it can be a family friend, it can be family member. Those are the folks who can help you and guide you into things they already went through.
Let me go on this side of the room. I'm going to ask someone brave enough to raise your hand. I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked the young man about the idea of what you want your career to be. So somebody on this side of the room want to stand up and give us a, I'm gonna pick one of you anyway, so somebody might as well just come on.
And he will do it.
And I will do it, yeah. So anybody want to tell us what their hope is?
Brave
There we
soul.
go.
There we go.
There we go.
Awesome.
You saved them because they all had fear in a minute.
I had few too. My name is Veronica Alvarez. I'm a marketing junior at the University of Houston. And my career, I would love to be able to, again, give back to my community, but also help brands be more inclusive of the Hispanic Latinx communities, as well as the Afro-Latinos, and just all minorities in general. Because when I feel like I was represented, I have hope that I could be in that company, just like Dell. And then expanding on even neurodiversity, I have an autistic brother, and to know that Dell has that type of program here is amazing. So I would love to be able to be a marketing manager and help those communities that are underrepresented.
Very nice, very nice. Anybody in the room just want to make a lot of money in their career? Anybody? Anybody?
We have jobs open in sales now. And you can make a lot of money. Some of y'all talked to John Byrne yesterday, so
Yes.
hit me up.
Oh, wow.
I only raise that half as a joke, but the important thing is to find what motivates you.
Yeah.
Right? So if it's money, that's fine. If it's your motivation and gets you to become the best employee, as we've said here, if it is, the sense of I like the fact that there is a human touch here at Dell, that they've gone beyond the corporate, that they see that as important. If that's the motivation, that's fine. It's like an athlete. You find what motivates you to become the best you can become. I am told that we have only a minute to go. Man, that was quick. All right. I'm not timing it. That one in the corner if you got some problems. I'm going to ask you guys, if you will, to give a bit of advice, a little nugget that people can walk away with. And then I would just want to share a quick story that dovetails yours about the counselor to show you that that kind of thinking doesn't stop when you leave high school or college. So if you all would, a nugget just to...
I would say for me, positive energy, it's key. Looking, a glass is half full than half empty is huge. That's what I look at people. When I look at talent in my organization, I look for that type of motivation and positive energy. It's huge.
One of the things that, in marketing, there is so many things changing. You talk about you want to work in marketing, we need to talk. I will say it's also important to be okay with changes, because technology is changing so quickly that the roles are changing, the processes are changing, and I always tell people, if you like change, marketing is the place to come. And Dell is amazing enabling us to drive the change, to come with new ideas, to innovate. There is so many forums. It keeps me inspired. That's why I've stayed here 16 years, because I've been able to move and grow in a company that drives innovation.
I'm going to break the rule a little bit and say two.
Of course you are.
Of course. I'm known for that.
Yes.
But kidding aside, so two things I would leave you with, or at least suggest. One, be curious. What you're going to find is the more that you have picked your passion, the more you're curious about all the things around it. It's amazing when you can look at multiple things from a different facet and start to bring all of that together. That's how patents happen. That's how, innovation occurs. That's how, we like to use the word disruption occurs. So be curious would be one. The second thing I would tell you is take calculated risk. Sometimes it's take the job that, and again, it's a calculated risk. My team, I'm looking at some of them back there, we have this running joke that says if we have a 51% chance of pulling it off, we're taking it. And so the reason for that is you not only are doing something that will get you noticed, you're not only going to be driving a result, you might actually change an entire industry.
Damn it, Jim, you took mine.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
All right.
I didn't mean to, man.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Listen, over the course of your journey, you are going to fail. All of us sitting here have failed, probably many, many, many times. I need you not to worry about failing. In fact, embrace a failure when it happens, learn from it, and keep on stepping, because it's going to happen. So do not be worried about when you fail, because you're going to. Life is hard, but you got to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep stepping.
Let me just add to that, because I'm always a realistic one in these things. Just don't fail a lot. You see what I mean?
Actually,
And underline that calculated risk.
yeah.
All right, because it's important to know, I tell people, I think we all are placed on this earth to be great at something. I am not a believer that you can be great at anything. I don't believe that. You know, when the teachers tell you, you can be great at anything. I used to be the one in the back saying, well, you ain't never going to be black and president, and then Obama came along. So there is a way through, but you have certain inclinations that make you great. Find them, and you may have to fail to find them, but find them. I'm going to ask you all first to give them a round of applause. And I'm going to ask you to do two things for me. Another, my nugget of realism, and I'll ask, because I'm old and gray now, I'm forgetful, that you'll remind me, because we want to keep the program moving, to tell you the story I was going to tell you. Just remind me before we close out that dovetails what he does, if you young people will help an old man with that. But we talk about finding mentors, and I tell people this all the time. Most people will tell you they will help you. Often you'll get a business card, and they mean well. They really do. But life gets in the way. You aren't necessarily their priority. They want to help a young person. They may even see something in you. Do not be discouraged if the first person doesn't become that mentor, or the second, or the third, or the fourth. They're out there. But sometimes, again, the failure, you'll have to go through 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 people to get to that one person who you connect with and who connects with you, who can really help you through the way. So we are going to take just a quick break and then to the next. Yes? Yes. Okay, this is what I got, y'all. So whatever this means, that's what we're going to do. Thank them again.